Kobe Bryant is one of the best NBA players of all time. He's a favorite to many, many players and fans of the game. Everyone admired his hard work, dedication, and he only has one MVP award, which seems hard to believe, but it's true. It shocked me learning about that for the first time because of how good he was. And there's been a lot of talk about should he have won more, shouldn't he have? And today I wanted to go through some years, including the year he did win it, where he did have a chance to win the MVP, and see if he really should have taken that award home more than one time. So let's get into it. So the first year I wanted to look at for Kobe Bryant potentially winning another MVP award was 2002-2003, and he finished third in the voting. So his stats real quick were 30 points a game, 6.9 rebounds, 5.9 assists, 2.2 steals, shot 45, 38, 84 from the field, and had 14.9 win shares. This was an excellent year from him, and I know I talked about in Shaq's MVP video how it kind of hurts an MVP case when you have a teammate that's, it could go either way on who's the better player that season. And that was kind of the case here. Shaq was a monster. He averaged 27.5 points, 11 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals, had 13.2 win shares. So I don't think Kobe was head and shoulders better than Shaq. I do think he was slightly better this year, but both players were phenomenal. Kobe did play all 82 games. Shaq only played 67. So that helps Kobe's case. But this year it just feels like they were too close together. They were both phenomenal. And I don't really think you could give either one of them the MVP award. Tim Duncan won it this year. He was phenomenal, had a wonderful year. Kevin Garnett may have deserved this award over Tim Duncan. I think I'm going to do a Kevin Garnett video because, he's one of my favorite players ever, and he deserves a lot more talk. But Kobe had a wonderful year this year. I just think Tim Duncan and Kevin Garnett probably were the better choices, and him having Shaq have another great season, very close to Kobe's season, that doesn't help his case that much for 2003. So the year everyone goes to when having this debate is 2005-2006, and it's because Kobe put up these monstrous averages: 35.4 points a game, 5.3 rebounds, 4.5 assists, 1.8 steals, shot 45, 35, 85, and had 15.3 win shares on a bad Lakers team in which they won season where they won 45 games and made the playoffs. He basically willed this team to the playoffs. They weren't very good outside of him. And a stat that really shows this is the fact that the Lakers were plus 18.9 points better in their offensive rating with Kobe on the court versus off. They dropped to well below the league average in offensive rating when he's off the court. So they're 18.9 points better on their offensive rating with Kobe on the court. That is one of the, I've looked at these on-off stats just starting recently because I think they're interesting. That, I think, is the biggest offensive difference I've seen out of really any player. It doesn't matter who it was. So that's a big reason. Like he may not have had the best PER or best value over replacement player, but this was one of his best seasons statistically. He made a massive impact on this team who wasn't all that good. And I can go really quick and look at his advanced stats because I do think that they actually were pretty good for this season. He had a 28 PER, which is the best of his career. He had an 8 value over replacement player, and he had the most win shares of his career on a 45-win team. These other guys had really good seasons, but Kobe, I think, just went above and beyond on a pretty poor team and took them to 45 wins and the playoffs. So I do think this year he should have won the award. So the next season is the year after, which is 2006-2007. Dirk won this award. The Mavericks won 67 games. He had 16.3 win shares. He had another really good year. Slightly less in the scoring department compared to his past years, but a really good season. Kobe, though, averaged 31.6 points, 5.7 rebounds, 5.4 assists, 1.4 steals, shot 46, 34, 87. He had 13 win shares on the 42-win Lakers. Once again, willed them to the playoffs. Odom missed a bunch of games. Luke Walton missed a bunch of games. And, the rest of their team is basically the same as the season before. Kobe had very good numbers once again. His impact in terms of the team offensive rating was much less. Not sure what happened there, but Dirk's impact on their team's offensive rating was almost 3 times as much as Kobe's for this season. So that's a big check for Dirk right there. But this one, I think, could go either way. In terms of the criteria that's usually used, you got to keep it with Dirk. But I do think that, once again, Kobe Bryant was probably more valuable to his team because that team was just so bad outside of him. Normally, you have a guy putting up those numbers, you're a solid team at least. But they were just so bad outside of Kobe, and he once again willed them to the playoffs. This one's tough to make a decision on. It really is. I would have to keep it with Dirk just because of that team's success. In this case, 25 extra wins is a lot. I don't always look at team record, but it's a lot. You kind of have to keep it there. But I think it could go either way. Even with 42 wins, Kobe Bryant once again willed this team to the playoffs, and he had a great, great year. So the next year is 2007-2008 when Kobe did win the MVP award. He put up averages of 28.3 points a game, 6.3 rebounds, 5.4 assists, 1.8 steals, shot 56, 36, 84. I had 13.8 win shares. The Lakers won 57 games. Had an excellent season. And he did win the MVP this year. However, Chris Paul may have had a better season than Kobe did. And I feel like this award was given to Kobe due to him possibly being snubbed a couple years before and maybe the year prior. Because Chris Paul had a tremendous season. He put up averages of 21.1 points a game, 4 rebounds, 11.6 assists, 2.7 steals, shot 49, 37, 85, had 17.8 win shares, 4 more than Kobe, and the Hornets won 56 games. He also had a higher PER, higher box plus minus, higher value over replacement player, and the Hornets were, 15.2 points better in terms of their offensive rating with Chris Paul on the court versus off. And, it's not, again, I talk about advanced stats a lot. It's not always about that. But when there's a case where there's this big a discrepancy in all the advanced stats and the raw stats are comparable, which I think they are, except for scoring, which Kobe, of course, is going to have most years. I think Chris Paul actually did have a better season, and I do think he actually did deserve this award. Johnny Arnett, great NBA YouTuber, did a video about this. He said he would give it to Chris Paul as well. I was like, really? Kobe won it. He had a great year. And then I looked into the stats more, and I was like, okay, Chris Paul was actually phenomenal this season. Really, really, really good. One of the better seasons I've seen that didn't win the MVP, at least. So I think I actually would give it to Chris Paul, as crazy as that sounds. I do think Kobe had a great year, but once again, it could have potentially been because voters felt like he got snubbed at least last year, maybe last year or in 2006. So this is a tough one, but I think Chris Paul gets it. All in all, I think one MVP award is appropriate for Kobe. I think 05-06 would have been his best year to win MVP. Probably should have won that year. Maybe 06-07. And we saw 07-08. Chris Paul actually probably had a better season than him. And oddly enough, that was the year Kobe did win the award. But that's not to take anything away from Kobe. He was always the reason his teams had a chance to win. He left it all out on the court. Without him, those mid-2000s teams never really had a chance. And he's one of the best of all time. We all love what he did for the game. And again, not to take anything away from him, because he still had incredible seasons in those years that we talked about. It's just the circumstances weren't always right, and that's okay. It doesn't take anything away from what kind of player he was. But let me know what you guys think. I wanted to quickly go over these as quickly as I could anyway, and just give my thoughts on these. So do you think he should have won more, should have won less? Let me know in the comments. Leave a like. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.